I had contact with Cynthia McKinney before I was a guest of the government years ago, and I was still going public. I was talking to Mike Levine, former DEA agent in New York. And Cynthia McKinney's name came up, and she and I actually talked. It's not normal to talk to congressmen and congresswomen usually,
Right.
unless something. So I've talked to Duncan Hunter Sr. I ran into Duncan Hunter Jr., who's now a convicted felon. Dana Rohrabacher, George Putnam back in 95, 96, 97, 98. Chris Ruddy stuff. Okay, Chris Ruddy was involved in a lot of stuff, especially because he was trying to bleed me of information about procedures and law enforcement procedures
Right.
connected to the Vince Foster stuff. Could they have gotten him and killed him at the White House and taken him in a rolled up rug or something? Yeah, anything's possible. They could have told everybody to stay in their offices, and the Secret Service could have gone in with a body bag and just taken him out and dumped him in a car and driven off. Nobody would know anything.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of things could have happened. I start to wonder about where my thing is, because I'm not getting help from Netanyahu. I'm not getting any help from Jim Jordan, Louie Gohmert, any of the other Congress, Chuck Grassley. That lady that we were talking about recently that's in Iowa, I forgot, she's in Iowa. That's
Right.
Chuck Grassley. She could call Grassley all day long, and they have to listen to her because she lives in their state. They know what they're doing to whistleblowers, but they won't help. Give me my badge and gun, and I'll show them how to do things. They don't know what they're doing. If they're scared, give me my badge and gun back. I mean, that's all I could tell them. I've got the training, the background. Scott Bennett, who I mentioned earlier briefly,
Mm-hmm.
he's got the same training in the military. These other people don't know what they're doing. They're afraid. Well, then they need to give it to the people that are trained for that stuff.
Right.
I mean, why is God telling me to look at Nazi Germany and Hitler stuff? Those guys took over a whole country, but they didn't take over. They did it legally.
Mm-hmm.
I kept inverting. Rudolf Hess was the actual guy that spent time with Hitler in prison to help him write Mein Kampf. He was a lot smarter than most people think. And Martin Bormann was the attorney. He was the other secretary after the fact. He was the one that helped him write the Enabling Act. The Patriot Act is exactly the Enabling Act of Hitler.
Wow.
People don't get that. I posted that on my website 20 years ago, probably.
I believe right now they are pushing a fear agenda. They really
Well,
are pushing a fear agenda. They're trying to make, I mean, it's bad when you have to go to the grocery store, okay? And there are people that don't wear
I know.
masks, that, even though they're telling us to wear masks. And I have my own views at this point because the numbers just aren't adding up for me.
Well, I have to show you my mask now because I keep thinking I better go get it. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
So your mask is a bandana.
This is different. It's an American flag with the thin blue line thing.
Yes.
So it's a cop thing. So every time I wear it, that's what I have showing.
Right.
I've learned to fold it up a little bit so that the thing doesn't hang down so far, because you can't breathe through this, and you're not supposed to be rebreathing carbon dioxide. Somebody I just ran into today said they had a guy at Walmart, and he
Mm-hmm.
says, yeah, he knew a guy that wore another type of a tight mask that people would use for spray painting. I've got one from a SWAT thing that I have, brand new filters on either side, and
Right.
you can breathe and all that stuff. But you can't rebreathe the same air because you'll lower your oxygen level.
Absolutely.
And you will pass out.
Yeah.
So that's lowering your immune system, and you will get sick and all these other things. So as soon as I get out of the car or any place where you have to go and be mixed with other people, then I take it off as soon as I walk out.
I have my own views right now. Do I think corona is real? Yeah. Do I think that it was bioengineered?
So if they put something in the atmosphere, which they can, the chemtrail stuff and all that,
Yep,
well,
I do.
they seed the clouds, silver nitrate, and it'll rain. But they can seed it with other stuff the nanoparticles that we breathe in. And if they want to, they can do it that way. So if they released it through the atmosphere, then we're getting into something else, because now we're talking about the DNA codes. And I was looking that up on Jesus the other day. It's under the, it's the RH negative site. And I pulled it up again because I was trying to tell somebody about it. And said, yeah, he was less than 6%. If they're not affected by DNA and they put something in the atmosphere, they could kill off the whole planet of everybody else because of the DNA or their blood type. That would leave less than a couple of 100,000 people.
What I was going to talk about is you brought up the nano stuff, and I was reading several articles where it's like smaller than dust.
Yes.
That we're inhaling this kind of stuff, and it has nothing to do with the actual coronavirus. It has to do with the metals that they've been seeding the clouds with.
The reason I know a lot about this stuff is not because of the stuff that I studied and research all the time and just come across weird subjects, but I know a guy who claims he was actually embedded with nanoparticles where they injected it in his body. This guy explains the nanoparticles to a T, and then it gets into electromagnetic weapons. Now, alien technology is in the same area. So if they've got your frequency, that's one way. But if they put nanoparticles in you, you are assuredly a target. So if they put a chip, and I ran into the guy, he wrote the book about the chipping back in '95, and I was at one of these expos where I met like Terry Cook of Compromise, Clinton Bush, and the CIA guy.
Okay.
And he's got the book about the chip, which is no bigger than a grain of rice. I'm looking for something that I could compare it to. Here's a toothpick. So if you took a toothpick and just chopped off the tip, right?
Right.
And they're talking about injecting that into the web of the palm of your hand. Screw that. They don't need to do that. They could do something else. And they do it to dogs in the back of the neck, the shoulders.
Microchip.
Microchips, yes. Yeah. So they can go around with their little scanner thing and go, oh, or whatever. Or you can go in and do this, or we can get the sign of the beast and have it appear, or
a lot of people are like, oh, blah, 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 that has to be on your forehead. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be on the forehead.
I just saw it the other day. Somebody was telling me about it or asked me about it. I don't know if it was you or somebody, but they've got this thing where they can put the patch on a certain part of the body and the pain will go away. The diagram's like circuit boards, and it's on a tape. They tape it to you, and it's got the design like on a circuit board. It trains the reaction of your the electrodes and the pain and all that stuff to remove the pain or whatever. Well, if it's the same science where they're going to attach a barcode.
I read somewhere too about a special kind of tattoo like that.
Barcode.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that one. Bill Gates' thing had a 666 in it. So,
and the last bills, there were two of them that are not beneficial to us. One was 666, the other one was 6666.
And I just bought something at the store the other day, and I came up with 88.88.
That's infinity sign. He did a video not long ago about the infinity 8.
Right. Yeah, so, it's tied in. It's tied in. Now that I'm looking at this dollar bill, it keeps waving at me,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're not going to mention that because that seems to censor things. But you can show the picture all day long.
Right. Well, that's what got my attention, was because isn't it Tom Hanks's son?
Chet.
That has that. Chet. He's the one that has that tattoo.
Yes. The all-seeing eye.
So, I mean, they're all bragging about it, and everybody else is talking about the same thing.
Part of the Satanism is they have to tell the truth, even if they're saying it. And that's the whole thing about Hollywood, is they tell the truth.
Exactly.
But they're laughing and putting laughing tracks behind it so that it confuses people that have been so beat down mentally with what they've thrown on the television in front of us, what they've thrown in on the news in front of us so that it becomes the normal. And it's not the normal. And this coronavirus, I'm sorry, but this is not my new normal. I refuse to be one of those that are going to be browbeat. It's just not going to happen. Not with me.
No, you said it perfectly, because I didn't have to explain it. You were tuned in with exactly what I was thinking about, and that's exactly what I was going to say. So you said it. By the way, here's another symbol.
Oh, the pine cone.
Yes. The pine cone was sacred because the pineal gland is connected to the pine cone design. If you ever looked at the pine nuts, and if you eat the pine nuts, which are only they're only part of a certain indigenous type of a plant. Not all pine cones you can eat them.
And I think the last time I found some hummus, I had hummus with it mixed in.
Jesus was on this diet, and I go, well, wait a minute. They didn't believe it. I'm going to go back to Nazarene research real quick. I'm going to really dig into Nazarene, because wait a minute. I wanted to know what he ate years ago. Nobody could answer the question. Oh, he probably ate this, he probably ate that, but they didn't really say what he ate, because they didn't say he ate like a Nazarene. They were acting like, oh, if he lived in Palestine or Israel, he probably ate whatever everybody else ate. No, he didn't. He was a Nazarene. So I go, okay. So he ate fruits, vegetables, plants, no meats, red meats from animals, except maybe the fish. Fish, bread, wine, maybe.
Okay.
Plus all the other stuff. So I go, okay.
The special diet.
Yes, because if he ate a special diet, he wasn't like everybody else. They killed and slaughtered animals in the temple, but he was anointed so he could at least preach in the temple, because he was so wise at 14, I think, right? So he didn't participate in their rituals, but he was familiar with it. Didn't eat red meat. He didn't kill. He didn't do all those things. So if you're on a diet of this other stuff, what does that do to the body, even though his chromosomes may have been different? Remember the Ron Wyatt research? Ron Wyatt went around the world to prove that the Ark of the Covenant existed. The place where Moses stuck his staff into the rock, and it split, and then water came out so he could feed all the Israelites, the 12 tribes. But he supposedly was at the rock of Golgotha in the garden. So at the top, the rock of the skull, and on top of the hill is where they crucified Christ. The blood came down through the cracks when there was a earthquake, down into a cave below where they hid the Ark of the Covenant for many years.
I did watch that. As a matter of fact, I watched a documentary, and I do not know if it was the same one or if it was another one, in which they went and were able to go and film underground.
Yes.
The wagon wheels.
The what?
The wagon wheels that were preserved under.
Oh, the water. Yeah. Over at the Red
under
Sea.
the water.
Yes. Yeah, they did that. But it stopped when he went into the garden. That was his final thing, because, and absent some other guy, I can't remember, the XLAPD guy, screwed it up when he went to Mount Ararat and he couldn't find the Noah's Ark thing. But he actually got in there, and they scraped off blood off of the Ark of the Covenant, and there was an angel that visited him in the garden. They scraped the blood off. They took it to Israeli scientists. They told him, oh, you can't reconstitute blood. Oh, please humor me. Just mix it with distilled water, not salt water, not tap water, not ocean water, because it'll have too much other junk in it.
Right.
And they did it. They were like beside themselves. Where did you get this blood? Where did you get this? It's alive. The water reconstituted because you can't kill it.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that's just his blood or everybody else's, but his blood, you couldn't just kill it. So they reconstituted it. And because they could reconstitute it, then they did DNA testing, which showed 23 chromosomes from the X female mother donor, which would be Mary, but only one Y chromosome from a male extraterrestrial, not of this earth entity, outside being. That doesn't make sense. I was thinking the other way. if you're 100% perfect and you're godlike, you would think that you would have billions of DNA. Apparently not. Maybe you only need the one. But to be a male,
well,
you have to have...
he is the I am.
Right. So if he has only one male chromosome, he still had to have the other to be gestation through a mother human. So, okay. But he had to go through the process to live like a human on the planet for whatever purpose, because it's just the way it would happen.
He did have to come and walk amongst us as a man, so I go by what the word says, because the word is the truth, and the truth is the word, and there you go. Unicorns are mentioned in the Bible.
Narwhals exist. They got
yes,
same thing. I wouldn't doubt that they exist either. So
I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to sit down and relearn.
I used to live in the desert, so I've already done my 40 days and 40 nights thing. I think I bought that book, The Code.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read through it, they supposedly had it so that if you looked up certain things, it was coded. So it was going to happen, past, present, future. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? Can you imagine? Can you imagine it?
I'm smiling because of the fact that I've had this conversation with several people in the past,
Right?
I would say in the past 48 hours, about he knew the end before our beginning, so anything is possible with him. Period.
Right.
Plain and simple. Another way of looking at it, too, is we live in such a Sioux nation, yet, you know, if my, God forbid, a relative of mine died in a certain hospital, I'm not going to mention the hospital, it's got a bad record kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people are suing, and I'm like, well, if you truly trust God and everything that he has said, he knew your end before your beginning. He just happened to be at that hospital, or she just happened to be at that hospital. Because if we knew what our
Mm-hmm.
end was going to be, our lives would be much different.
I'm
Period.
getting tingly you saying that, because I know for a fact that that does exist, because you know it and I know it because we've been tuned in for quite a while. We just have to recognize the symbolism and the messages and
Mm-hmm.
the codes and whatever's being tapped on our shoulder, like, hey, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Or at 3 a.m., I'm waking up at 3 a.m. Our bodies are very, very tuned in to certain things that
Oh,
people can't explain.
absolutely. But so many people have stepped away from their belief system because of the fact that they've been, you know, put in front of a TV and listened to certain things in movies and live in
Brainwashing.
this make-believe world. The biggest thing for me is knowing the things that I know. I refuse to be manipulated anymore, and that God discernment that's in me lets me know, nope, because we are fighting a spiritual battle, not a put up our dukes, let's get down to it. You know, it's not
No,
that.
it is good over evil. I've,
Yes.
I've, I've learned that since I was a child, and I used to go to Sunday school
Mm-hmm.
when I was a little boy,
We're
private.
so we're in. Oh gosh. When I say we, I'm not talking about you and me. I'm talking about what I like to refer to as the mush brain. They have not taken the red pill. They believe that everything that comes on the 6 o'clock news is God's honest truth, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not it at all. If you think about it in the broad scheme of things, why would they say not to allow us to go to church? Think about that. A majority of people look at church people, oh, they're huggy, kissy kind of people. They're going to get us all sick.
You go to a Catholic church, you're dipping your fingers in the water, the holy water. I've done that. And
Right.
I'll cross myself and bless myself with holy water. I carry holy water and all that. And part of the procedures is you're going to be greeting people and you're going to be shaking their hand
Mm-hmm.
in front of you, to the sides of you, and behind you in a church
Right.
at a certain point in time where you're doing prayer. And that's part of contact. Now, think about this. I always thought about that as another purpose. Maybe that's part of our purpose instead of getting vaccine shots and shots.
Mm-hmm.
Contact with other people well, so-and-so had a cold. They didn't wash their hands. They still touched the water to bless themselves. But you can go on about different theories. But the idea is we're still beings on this planet, and we're still having contact with other beings on the planet. And that is part of our exposure. Sunlight, fresh air, touching.
I've seen doctors that have gotten, and they're censoring the truth. The truth is we need some sort of bacteria so that our bodies will fight it off.
Friendly microbes, as Judy Mikovits said the other day.
There you go.
Who they accidentally removed. I posted her everywhere I could, and I listened to her speech. She was very clear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they prohibiting people from going to the ocean? The ocean is sacred. It is full of friendly microbes and special salt water and life. It's not just salt water. You know, people don't get it.
No, the best thing that you can do if you have a cut on your foot is to go to the ocean.
Yeah.
I will say this. We have had incidents where the red algae and green algae, that kind of thing.
It just recently died off. It's blue at night, and you can see it at nighttime. And then when they die, they turn red. You get the red tide, and it may even smell kind of bad because they died off. But that's plankton and microplankton.
Right.
That's life. But yeah, people don't get that. I used to go just to go snorkeling when I'd swim, and you could see so much life and fish and all kinds of things in there. It would be counterproductive to even think that people would say, "Oh no, stay out of the ocean" during this COVID-19 scam.
I'm with you on that. That
makes me want to just go out there even more.
Like I said, the whole thing about it is we do know that sunlight does kill it, but yet they want us to stay inside at home.
2 minutes. 2 minutes of UVC3 light, which is the ultraviolet light of the spectrum. A lot of people don't even know what the spectrum is, and you can measure on your fingers here like I'm putting like 1.5 inches, 2 inches.
Okay.
That's the spectrum we know about that we see. Ultraviolet to light that we can't see. And then there's light that beyond that we can't see that is in a different spectrum. But I could be out on my balcony just standing outside. 2 minutes is enough. If you take all your clothes off, you get ultimate exposure. But just being in your clothes, you're getting exposed to ultraviolet.
Absolutely.
So even on a cloudy day, you're getting amount of light that comes from the sun that travels. So from like 6 in the morning till about 7 at night, 12 hours of light exposure. If I used to be outdoors all the time when I was at work. So I had total exposure for a minimum of 8 hours unless I was working the night shift. We're not mentioning the moonlight. That's a totally different light too. That's also a special kind of light wave. But yeah, that guy used to explain about the 5G. He's explaining the same stuff. We're getting exposed to certain frequencies that we shouldn't be getting and others that we should. Why are we being told to act like bats, which are nocturnal animals, not to get exposed to the lights? They want us to be in the same kind of stuff which alters your blood. You're not getting oxygen. You're not getting the ultraviolet light, which kills the viruses.